Hello, Copic fans, friends. New video for you today. Um, an artist that I kind of did one recording about a while back. This literally is kind of pre or right at the start of COVID. Um, Sophia Caldwell, and I think I'm saying that right, but I'll make sure to have it up in the verbiage at the top of the screen. She does amazing digital work. So all of her images are going to be digital. You're going to find her on Etsy. She has come out with a brand new series, and it has a neat feature to it. So she is now aiming some of her artwork towards people that want to specifically use it for digital work. So she's done files that are for Procreate, so that you literally can use this as a stamp and do it multiple times. And she has some of her images in little groupings like this, but then she has also the individual pieces like the leaves, the little kind of baby's breath, the individual sections, or even just this with just the short stem. So she has all these segments that then you can pull together and use and create your own digital files. But then she has groupings that are already clustered and pre-ready to go. So I will make sure you guys have the information on where to find her. She kind of disappeared for a year. Life threw her a bunch of lemons, and she has really made an amazing batch of lemonade out of it. And truly, no pun intended. I think she's had a tough year, like a lot of us, and has come out really strong and refreshed and ready to go. So she is releasing these. So these are brand new, hot off the press. And what I did is I took one of the ones that I really liked, just the little small grouping, and she has amazing detailed stuff. So if you're looking for something to play with, like on a 10-day color challenge or 30-day color challenge, check these out, because she has these beautiful, she has one that's a woven basket that's just bursting with stuff. She has a beautiful kind of antique watering can that, again, bursting out the top with beautiful things. So she is a person to watch for and find if you haven't found her yet. I took one of the images and went ahead and did it in a very light gray. So I'm hoping we're all going to be able to see that, including myself. And I'm going to do, I don't know that you're going to see me do the whole thing, but I really wanted to get one of the heads of the flowers and then maybe one of the stems, just to kind of play with some of the coloring. And then I was looking for image references. I just lost the one that I liked. It's this one. So I really, really like the coloring on this. I love, can you see? Yeah, there we go. So this yellow into that really deep fire red, and then look at the detail. And I don't know how much I can show that. I'm going to fudge this a little bit. If you can see on the black, there's a ton of detail that Sophia's already created in there. So I'm going to probably go over that and add some of that detail back in. And I'd like to make it look kind of like this with that kind of brighter, almost lighter ring. So I think I'll work on this one, and I'm aiming for those colors. So I'm gonna have to do some, go hunt and find here in a second. And then some of those yellow greens, kind of desaturated yellow greens that we're going to see in the stem. But notice we've got some of those reds hiding in there as well. So some deep violets in there. We've got reds and yellows. Yeah, let's play with that. So we're going to play on here. Again, this is not going to be completed. I'd rather keep us in real time and kind of focus in on one, do something really delicate on these little guys. And I'll kind of think as I'm pulling colors what I might do there, just for something different and fun. All right. I'm going to go find colors. You guys hold on and we will come right back and do some coloring. All right, ready to test some colors here. We're going to test off to the side. This is kind of, I don't know that I can get it all on there because of how I've enlarged it. Let's do this while we're testing. So I think this is the color I'm going to start with in those deepest areas. And this is an R39. And then I'm not sure if I can jump. It's probably a little extreme, except that's really more what it looks like. So this is an R08. And I don't know. No. Do I like that? I thought no, but now I'm wondering. I feel like I need it maybe warmer. I don't feel like that's bright enough. These are Y1s. I'm worried if I do a Y0, we're going to get too kind of yellow green. I think that's going to be more accurate though. So this is a Y06. I bet if I came back in, okay. So combination for petals. Jumping back and forth here. So we've got R39, R08, Y38, and then Y06 with possibly some touches of Y18. That's going to give some of that texture. Now, a lot of that actually has that grain effect. So if we need some of that, we could use a, where you can see as the petal folds and comes in and out, we could use a BV20 in those kind of lighter yellow areas to get that texture back in. So I'm leaving that as an option. There's the petals. Then we have the center, and what I'm thinking is if I started, we're going to build up around that, I think. What if the center this is a series of V's. We'll see if this gets us where we want it. I'm thinking yes. Okay. I could probably do finer detail with colored pencil, but I think those are the colors I'm wanting. That's actually fairly close to the center. And I'll write those down here in just a second, but I'm thinking out further. I'm actually going to want to go into more of an earth tone as you get out. Okay, I think that's going to work. Sorry, not talking. So these are V12 is that really light purple. And then I added V9, 5. Yep. And V9, 9. Then I've got an E4, 7 and an E4, 9. There's the center. And then I brought 3 colors over And I'm thinking, I did that, if I underlie it, I bet if I did the green on top of this, it might work. Probably not that much green or red. Yep, but that's going to do what I want it to. So, stems and leaves, we've got YG03, YG63, YG67 with that R08. And I think we're going to want to lay the red down first. We'll try to remember that. Haha. And I didn't grab the color I wanted, but I think I know what I want. I think I'm going to grab a blue. I'm thinking maybe my B6s that I like so much, of doing just these little really delicate blue and then using the colorless blender with that. I think that would be really pretty. And then these stems are going to have to go probably just like the YG67 and just see if I can hit those. We'll see. Okay, I have a bunch of markers on my table. Let's see what we can do with that. Zoom back in. We're going to start with some petals. And again, I don't think I'm going to, we'll see how much we get done. It's kind of silly to, but let's do a group of them. And with this being as light gray as it is, we're going to definitely lose those lines. So be aware of that as you get started. So I'm going to start with my darkest color. And I noticed on the image, because of the way these petals roll, those edges are that yellow from the underneath. The red must only be on the face of the petal. So as it rolls up, we get that golden yellow at the corner on a lot of them. So I'm going to attempt being the key word, to leave that on a lot of these if I can. Always easier said than done. The beauty of this is by the time I'm done, you're not going to see the lines, and anyone I give this to is not going to see the lines. So if I fudge an edge or change a petal just slightly, no one will be the wiser. All right, but let's do a little group here. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's do one more for good measure. We'll get 6. Now, if you are having, what I always recommend to people too, is when you're going to do something a little, I shouldn't say a little, it is a much more complex image. If you're going to do that with no line coloring, it's always a really smart idea to have one of these black line images nearby. Just helpful. Just a little word of advice there. Okay, so R08 coming in. That was the R39. Garnet. And then this one is vermilion. I'm trying to add the name in there here and there because I know I've got a couple viewers now that is very helpful for. I do not go by the colors. I go specifically by the numbers because it tells me exactly what's going on in that ink with saturation, with value. So I specifically am looking at the number, and when I say them separately, it's because those numbers mean different things. So when I say R08, I'm telling you the color family, I'm telling you the saturation, and I'm also telling you the value of the marker. So there is a method to the madness. It's the reason I say the names the way I do, or the numbers the way I do. But it's also why I don't say the names. It's why I say the numbers. But have some viewers that it's much more helpful to hear those names. So we've got Y38. It's called honey. So as I am adding this in, as a feature I'm adding in, I will tell you this, however, I am not going to type those names in. I will most likely still just have the numbers kind of in those little title notes. You're probably not going to get the names typed out for all of these. So I do apologize for that, but hopefully me just saying them is helpful. So I'm going through these colors, coming out further. I've managed to hold on to some of those edges, which I'm pretty darn pleased about, actually. A little surprised that I've managed to, but yay. And what you can hopefully see me doing is I'm starting back in those darker colors and pulling forward. It's softening the edge, but it's also kind of then extending out onto that petal. It's not a perfect blend, but I don't want it to be because of all that detail and kind of vein work that we see on a petal. Now I'm going to jump all the way to that Y06, which literally is called yellow. How handy is that? Now that's one I won't forget. And I'm going to go ahead and hit those edges. And I'm going to go ahead and fill the petals. So now I can come from that white edge and push back into that color. And then we can do some playing from there. I just like this particular, when I looked up, these are called cone flowers. There's some variety that is kind of violet, and then there's this variety, and then the ones that are yellow, more strictly yellow, and I just felt like this would be a super fun way to treat these guys, which is very fun. Always good to give yourself a little challenge. Get your brain thinking along with your hands moving. And fun to give yourself that challenge of which colors will work. Let's pull some out of the bag. And you have to remember too, watching me do this, I've played with my colors a lot, so I have a pretty good sense of what works with each other, but it's because I've done all of this work over and over again, like bunches of times where it wasn't so successful, and then the next time around it was more successful or got me closer to where I wanted to be. So do remember that piece of that as well. So I'm going to do two things. I think I'm going to go ahead and grab my BV20, and I'm going to add a little bit of vein work back into kind of that lighter. And what I'm doing is I'm using some of the marks that Sophia has given me. I'm not hitting them exactly, so I'm not sitting there and looking for those exact lines, but I'm going in and finding a few that she's added, and then adding that blue violet. Now this is fairly wet. I don't know if you guys noticed in the last couple videos, but I've started working on a glass mat instead of paper. I'm trying this purposefully. The ink stays considerably wetter. Is that a word? I think so. And so it's blending and like spreading a little bit more. So I'm just getting used to it, but really I'm going to be able to use less ink. Now I'm going to switch back to a yellow, and this is my Y18. And I am going to see if I can hit over the top of some of that blue violet. And I might not hit exactly or all of it, but it's going to soften the look of the blue, kind of tone that down, but keep that vein work. And I might have to hit it again with my lighter yellow. That's what I'm looking at now. Experimenting with color. That is what we're doing today. Sorry about the singing. All right. I definitely want that bright yellow back in though. Double checking we're still on the page. So this time I'm not focusing in on a spot. I'm just going to give it that broad. There we go. So I'm just doing a broad stroke to soften the whole effect. And that's getting me kind of right where I want to be. So for me right now, I'm going to pause there on the petals. I'm pretty stoked about what those are doing. So I could do the rest of these, and I think I would use that same series. This, a little more of a challenge. Let's see if I can dig out those colors. Now I'm going to start with my V12, which is Pale Lilac. Now I'm going to lose this detail, this beautiful detail, unfortunately, that Sophia has put in here. And I'm kind of creating my own. This is nothing against what she created. If you are using this in Procreate, absolutely kind of lean in and just revel in all of that gorgeous detail she has given you. I'm not going to be able to get into that detail the way I want to. And I'd practiced with little dots, but I'm thinking I'm going to be better with more like little short hatch marks. We'll kind of see as we go here. And then the darkest, sorry, that was V95, which is called Light Grape. Then V99, Aubergine. Sometimes colors have kind of funky names, and I'm not recognizing that one. Aubergine. So you can tell, or hopefully you can see this, I have not gone all the way to this edge. So some of this layering may or may not work. This is experimenting with color today. But if you look at these little guys, and we might have to come back and go over some of these areas to get the detail we want. They're these little tiny, like in here it's smaller, but then as you get out into here, it's these long, like little sticky things. That's not a very good descriptor. Sorry. All right. Getting into this outer, coming right up underneath. And the darker color will help define that even more. And this is where I probably should do the petals first, because then this would sit on top of that as it comes around, and we see just that little edge of the darker brown. And again, if you are a colored pencil person that does your work, kind of finalizes your work with colored pencil, this is one of those images that would really benefit from that, like in huge ways. So don't take that out of the running. I picked up the wrong marker. So what I just did this earth tone with is E47, which is that dark brown, and then E49, which is dark bark, is coming in. I'm going to define some of that, give it some of those crisper little details. This is not a layer I am going to blend in at all. I want to see these little pieces on this, so I'm going to leave it, and this is where I could come in then with colored pencil and define it even more. So let me grab the photo. You could come in and actually add light little flicks back in, and really fine little tiny flicks as well. So you guys make it yours. I think it's kind of fun to do some of these, really try to get some of that detail that you see in nature. And I'm just going back and forth a little bit with some of these colors. This is that V95, gonna soften that up, break it up a little bit as much as anything. I think I'm gonna stop there. I need to stop there because I'm gonna keep messing and then it's gonna smush all around and not be happy with it. So stopping there. I do think, after seeing this, and I'm looking back at my image, I'm going to take that V99 and right along and then grab that R39, except I didn't do a very good job right there. That looks funny. I'm not sure what I did. There we go. Okay. And then I'm not going to go through all the colors. In fact, that one really doesn't even need that. But I'm going to grab that red again. Yum. Super, super pleased with that. All right. And I'm looking at this as well, and I don't know that that bright yellow makes it all the way in. So I'm going to, there we go. It's lighter back in there, but it doesn't get quite that bright. And that looks a lot happier to me. Okay, so pretty content here. Could definitely finish these up, and maybe I'll do that at the end in fast forward mode. Let's get this stem. Remember we talked, we want to start with our red. I'm trying to remind myself of that. So I'm going to do just a little bit. And I'm going to do it along the edge that I'm going to make darker. And I love what Sophia did here again with the digital line art. She created this kind of really textured stem. And if you look at the real flower, this is what those stems look like. So I feel like it's so cool when an artist takes the time to really look intentionally and figure out, what does this really look like? If someone wants to do a more realistic image, they're going to need a plant that starts more realistic, and she has done that and does a really nice job with that. So again, if you're getting into trying to do more photorealism, or just want to challenge yourself for something different and want to do something bigger, digital images and something that's this detailed really actually lend themselves to that. This is intended to be printed off larger. So that first color was that R08, which we used before. Vermilion. YG03, which is yellow-green. Yes, that is the name. It's funny to me when I find the ones that are just named yellow-green, dark brown, yellow. And we seem to have grabbed several of them this time. Then I am jumping to YG63, which is pea green. Oh, that's a good one too. So with this one, with the lighter color, that YG03, I filled in, went all the way over that red. With this one, we're going to add that texture in. Long streaks. They aren't going to run the whole stem. There's no way my hand's going to do that for me. But fairly quickly. And you could wait a few seconds on this step because this is blending more, even more than I really want it to. So I probably would have been better to let that sit for a second, but I didn't. So let's let it sit. We're going to bring a little bit more of this darker color in. And when I speed up is when I lose edges where it starts getting wider. So keep your pace, keep it slow. We're going to let that sit for a second and come in with a YG67, which is called Moss. Let's see, and specifically on top of a few of those reds. We don't want to lose the red, we're just toning it down. We want to be able to see that we have the kind of red piece coming in. All right. All right. And again, I could go back and with the lightest, just blew out the side there. With the lightest YG, that YG03, I could go back in and soften that whole effect by kind of washing over that. Losing the steadiness of my hand. So the stem is getting wider. Okay, stopping now. So I would probably bring that background in and do some correcting right there, but not going to worry about it really right now. Grabbing my YG03. And that gets one pass and just stops. I could do more work there, but I'm not going to. I'm going to use the YG67, that moss, and I'm going to try to do some of this stem work and we'll see how that goes. I have an idea on these little knots here. What if, since I'm using it already, if I grab the V99 kind of put that, emphasizing those little knots in places where the stem comes in and out. I think that might be helpful. Oh yeah. So V99 up underneath the flowers, kind of at the joints. Okay. Hoping we're still on screen. Yes, yes we are. Excellent. There we go. All right, stems, check. And then I'm thinking, because they're so tiny, I'm going to go dark to light again. So we've got B63, which is light hydrangea. Okay. And I'm not going to be able to hit the details again. So I'm going to go kind of squiggly and hit bottom edges of some of these details. I'm going to grab, I think I did something wrong here. I'm going to grab the black and see if I can double check something. Oh, yeah, I can see it down here. There's some little leaves that are coming up on these flowers at the base. I don't know that it's a big deal if I miss them, but I might try to throw them back in here in just a second. All right, and then I'm jumping to B60, which is pale blue-gray. And I'm just going to dab this in with that other color, the B63. And I don't know, I was originally planning on using the colorless blender, but I might leave them just like this. Yeah, I'm definitely going to need to come back in with some green though, right at the base of these guys. And I'll show you here because I'm having trouble seeing it, so it'll help me to find them too. But I think we'll see how many of them have it. So this is what I'm looking at. That one doesn't. Then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is almost all green. 6, 7. So the two end guys, we can't see them, but all the other ones have these little pieces of green that come up underneath them. So YG67, moss, little tiny leaves right underneath. And they don't have to be, they can be very irregular, which makes this very easy. Keep it simple, ladies and gentlemen. Here we go. All right. I'm not trying to hit the ones because I can't even, I'll be honest, I can't even see them, but I am going to come back. I feel like I lost the edges on this little guy. This one too. That green kind of helps define them, doesn't it? So, but if we give this one a little more love. There we go. All of them. Perfect. Super happy with that. So, I hope this was fun to see, kind of, again, breaking down some color choices. I feel like I've kind of extended my time long enough, so we're going to stop there. But this is an image that I would not sit down and decide, I'm going to do this today for my coloring session that's going to be, half an hour long, and expect to finish this. This is one of those perfect images that I say, I'm going to use this for a coloring challenge. I usually only have 30 minutes a day or 20 minutes a day. And today I'm going to do all of these petals. And tomorrow I'm going to just do this and the stem. And so it's one of those images to me that's perfect for breaking apart and doing in small segments at a time. If you do that, give yourself this, okay? Give yourself that cheat sheet off to the side that you have all of that information. It's on the page. You could put it on a sticky note and stick it to the page or even the back of the page, but keep it with the artwork, especially if it's one you're going to come back to. Or grab a mug and your markers that you use for the day and stick it in a mug on your desk so they don't get put away until you're done with this image. Thank you so much for this gorgeous new image and this new collection. I hope you guys can go check out the artist and give her some love as well. If you have any Copic questions related to this or related to Copic in general, please put those down in the comments. Like this YouTube channel if you're enjoying the content so that you can get a notice in your inbox that there is new stuff. Check me out over on Facebook at Copic in the Craft Room, or check out my blog at scrapweaver.com for all of my doings. Thank you so much for stopping by today and watching. I hope you all have a very happy, colorful day.